What's up out there, YouTube? It's James coming back at you with another informative video. I hope you guys are doing well out there on the beginning of this so-called new year. And the reason why I say it's so-called is simply because New Year's actually starts in April, somewhere around the 12th, okay? You know, where everything springs forth back alive. You see what I'm saying? Not at the beginning of the winter where you got, I believe, pagans that happen to set it up this way at the beginning of January, okay? But be that as it is, we had a terrible situation that took place in New Orleans about 3:15 in the morning, where you had people out celebrating this new year, when all of a sudden you had 42-year-old Samzad Din Jabbar from Texas took his truck and plowed through a crowded street of people, okay? Basically killing 10 people and severely injuring 35 others, okay? And it is said that this man, had a long gun and also a AID, I think that's how you pronounce it, some sort of bomb or what have you. And he began actually shooting at people that was in the crowd. I don't think he hit any of them, but he did injure 2 police officers before he himself was took out, okay? This is just what it is. Oh, by the way, shout out to the sister, the Awakened One, for hipping me to this particular story right here. Like I said, what a way to start this so-called new year. But you got these, domestic terrorists. I don't know what their purpose is or what they think they are going to achieve by actually going out taking people's lives, okay? Because all that happened in this case was his life was taken. You see, he drove all the way from Texas, to New Orleans on Bourbon Street, which, the FBI and what have you seem to think that this was all planned, and they don't believe that it is the work of one man. They don't think it was just him. They think, other people were involved because this man was repping a ISIS flag in the back of his truck, okay? ISIS is. That's what it's spelled, And he took out a domestic terrorist attack, on these people right here. But I got a couple of videos that I want us to sit through to actually shed a little bit more light on this thing right here, and then we'll complete the commentary. Check this out.
Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lindsay Reiser, and we are following breaking news out of New Orleans. At least 10 people are dead and dozens more injured after city officials say a man intentionally drove a pickup truck into a crowd of people. This happened on the world-famous Bourbon Street overnight as people were celebrating the new year. It was around 3:15 in the morning local time. Officials say the man drove around barricades and hurtled down the street in very intentional behavior before opening fire on police officers. 2 officers were hit by gunfire. They are in stable condition in the hospital. CBS News has learned the suspect is dead, shot and killed by police. Officials say a long gun was recovered from the scene, and according to an investigative reporter with our affiliate WWL, it had a silencer, or more specifically a suppressive device attached to it. Several potential explosive devices were also recovered near the scene and are being analyzed. The FBI is investigating this as a terrorist attack, and 2 sources familiar with the investigation tell CBS News the deceased suspect was wearing body armor. The truck that plowed through that crowd appeared to be flying a large black flag from the rear bumper, according to CBS News reviews of images, and law enforcement sources tell CBS News that investigators are looking into whether the flag is an ISIS flag or possibly tied to another foreign terror organization. Anna Schechter joins us now in Studio 57. She's a senior coordinating producer for our CBS News Crime and Public Safety Unit. What is the latest you're learning about the suspect?
The latest we can report the name of the suspect that investigators have honed in on. His name is Shamsud Din Jabbar, 42 years old, a U.S. citizen, resident of Texas. There are previous criminal record, including theft and driving with a suspended license. So we're starting to piece together the profile of the man who carried out this attack at this time. So chilling. It does appear that this person took some time to prepare for this, prepared the vehicle. It looks like there was a flag. Investigators are saying they're investigating whether it's an ISIS flag or possibly another terror group, foreign terror group's flag.
Did this vehicle belong to the suspect?
It seems the vehicle was obtained through like a ride share app program in Texas. So it was like a rented vehicle. So that's what we know at this time, not necessarily belonging to Din Jabbar, but that the vehicle was rented in Texas and then driven to New Orleans to carry out this attack. He was wearing tactical gear. We have a photo of him after he was killed by police, gunfire, and he's wearing like camouflage pants, tactical gear. According to law enforcement sources, the long gun that he had a device that acts as a silencer. So all of this points to premeditation and a will to carry out an attack that would inflict as much carnage as possible.
And this suspect did open fire when that truck stopped, right? What can you tell us about that?
That's right. So as the truck was ramming through people, the suspect opened fire. Police then engaged in gunfire. He shot 2 police officers. 2 are in the hospital recovering. Hopefully will make a full recovery. And then he was shot and killed by law enforcement.
I don't know if it's clear or not, but was the suspect shooting while the vehicle was still in motion?
Our sourcing indicates that it possibly was, that they're looking at that, whether while he was plowing through is the term that they used, plowing through this crowd of people. There were dozens of people there out and about. It was New Year's Eve or just after New Year's in the early hours of the morning. That's why there are dozens of people injured. So this individual chose this specific place and time in part because there would be a crowd of people reveling over New Year's Eve.
What do we know about the barricades? You had spoken with a local official about a project that was being undertaken ahead of the Super Bowl in February.
That's right. They were right in the middle of a transition period to better protect, ironically, pedestrians on Bourbon Street. They were switching over to stainless steel, what they call as bollards, kind of barricades that allow for people to walk through them, but they could also be removed when the street is opened for traffic. So overnight, and we're still trying to pin down the details exactly what was going on there. But what officials say is that he was able to drive around the temporary barricades that were put in place because the old ones were removed. This was a project that began in November and was supposed to be completed in February, just in time for the Super Bowl when they were expecting more crowds there. So that is certainly an area of investigation. And did the suspect exploit this potential weakness in the system, and might more lives have been saved had there been larger and more stable structures in place?
It's so sad because after the vehicle plowed through the Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany on December 20th, we were talking about how, they had barricades, but these events, they're not foolproof, that somebody with a will can find a way to get in and inflict the most damage as possible. What are the next steps in this investigation? What questions are you asking?
Well, we've jumped over a big hurdle in identifying the suspect. Of course, motive is key right now. Investigators are piecing together a timeline exactly when the suspect obtained the vehicle and his driving route. How did he drive through? They're looking at his prior criminal record. And of course, did he act alone or not? Was he aided by anything? Our sources have told us they're looking at whether the owner of the vehicle knew of his plans. That's unclear at this time. But of course, they're asking those questions. They're asking about his online activity and any communication with foreign terror organizations. Was he inspired by or was he connected to them in any way? Of course, lone wolves here in the United States can be inspired by these bigger ideas. And in the past, this has happened, Al-Qaeda and ISIS, with or without communication from a known member of that group. So they can just be inspired by the idea. So investigators are looking at that. They're looking at his online footprint. They're looking at threats. They're looking at writings, messages of intent, and were there red flags along the way?
FBI is calling the deadly attack in New Orleans an act of terrorism. Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes. The FBI says that suspect, who is now dead, was 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S. citizen and Army veteran from the Houston area. They do not believe he acted alone, and there's now reportedly surveillance video of other individuals who might be involved. At least 15 people are now confirmed dead, dozens of others injured, including 2 police officers who were shot. Fox 4 Stephen Dial in studio now with more. Stephen.
The New Orleans police chief says Shamsuddin Jabbar drove onto the sidewalk to get around a police car that was providing security by blocking the vehicle's access to Bourbon Street. The coroner of Orleans Parish just shared that the death toll has climbed to 15 people. 3 hours into the new year, Bourbon Street in New Orleans turned into a massive crime scene.
This particular terrorist drove around onto the sidewalk.
The FBI says 42-year-old Shamsuddin Jabbar, a U.S. citizen from the Houston area, drove a white pickup truck around a police car blocking traffic and slammed into pedestrians on the crowded street. 15 people were killed, dozens injured. Federal investigators are calling this an act of terrorism.
New Orleans police and all law enforcement is built. We are built for dealing with evil, with things that would cause us others to be in fear, but instead our officers, and last night NOPD in particular, stood strong. They did not run. They did kill the terrorist.
There are still many unanswered questions about Jabbar, but we know he was an Army veteran and the truck was rented from the Houston area. Investigators say Jabbar was killed when the truck stopped and he began shooting at officers. 3 officers shot back, killing him. 2 officers were injured.
Considering their injuries, they're doing well.
Federal investigators say an ISIS flag was located on the truck along with a possible explosive device inside and others nearby. They also believe Jabbar did not act alone. A state police bulletin says 3 men and a woman are seen on surveillance placing one of those devices. As for the victims, one of them has a connection to TCU. Jack Beck, a senior receiver for the Horned Frogs football team, confirmed on his social media that his brother Tiger Beck died in the attack. TCU football posting, quote, sending love and support to the Beck family.
Bourbon Street is an active crime scene, and the FBI is in charge of it. When they clear it, and it does not become an active crime scene anymore, we're going to open it up.
The city was not only packed for New Year celebrations, but also for a college football playoff game. In the wake of the attack, the Sugar Bowl was postponed until Thursday. Governor Jeff Landry was already planning to issue an emergency declaration ahead of the Super Bowl next month, which is also in New Orleans. He amended that order so additional resources can be brought in immediately.
This city has been tried by fire before. But fire purifies. Fire makes things stronger. We have a plan. We know what to do. We are going to get these people. There is a path forward.
Now, the governor said that he will attend the bowl game on Thursday. There's no word if there will be another media update tonight.
All right, Stephen Dial, thank you. President Biden and President-elect Trump offered condolences and support after the attack. Mr. Biden said he was grateful for the brave and swift response of local law enforcement in preventing even greater death and injury. He said he directed his team to ensure every resource is available to get to the bottom of what happened as quickly as possible. President-elect Trump said, "Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department." The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil.
You know, with this particular situation right here taking place, it makes you wonder if there's some kind of international terrorist group, you know, that's actually carrying things like this out. And the reason why I say that, okay, we had this guy right here, you know, take his truck and plow into, you know, a lot of people, you know, on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, you know, on New Year's Day, just say. But see, the reason why I say this is because, okay, here on Christmas in Germany, at least 2 dead and 60 hurt after a car drives into a German Christmas market, you know, in a suspected attack. Okay? You see what I mean? Makes you wonder if there's an international terrorist ring, you know, that's actually doing things like this. Because why? You know, less than a week or two later, well, this actually took place on December 20th, as a matter of fact. You know, so this is why I say that. Hey, you just never know. But I can say this. I'm glad that the police were able to dispatch this lowlife right here, you know, for him doing the terrible deed that he did. And also, my condolences to the people who lost loved ones in this act of terrorism. Because that's just all it is. Nothing but direct, you know, domestic terrorism. And furthermore, there should be a message to America to start screening and watching who they are letting become, you know, U.S. citizens. You know, and that's just what it is. This guy right here even served in the armed forces. You see, or what have you. But, you know, by the last name, when I first heard his name, I thought it was an Asian guy. I didn't know, but because that's when they didn't even know the identity of this dude right here. But now that they've released his identity and I see his face, well then, you know, he looked like something or somebody, you know, of Arabic, you know, persuasion of some sort, you know. And see, these people, man, they full of hate, you know what I'm saying? And especially for Americans, you know. But you went where, you know, so-called black people were. That's where you went. Not to say you should have went anywhere and did what you done, but that's what you did. You went where, you know, so-called black people were, and you did this. That's what I don't understand. But be that as is, a terrorist is a terrorist, regardless of why he does the things that he do. You see, this is for, you know, the people out there that like to be hanging out in, you know, massive crowds and what have you. All I can tell you is this: you better rethink that, because out here in public, you just don't know what idiot lowlife, you know what I mean, that doesn't value human life except his own, in a sense, because this particular one right here came out with a vest on, bulletproof vest. You see, he thought he could save his life while he take other people's lives. You see, but yeah, if I was you guys, I would rethink hanging out in, you know, a lot of places, in public areas where there's a lot of crowded, you know, people, because you got evil lurking, and these people are on a evil agenda to hurt folks, and that's just what it is. So that's the message for this so-called New Year's Day. Stay away from crowded areas, if you understand what I'm saying. Go to the store, grocery store, get your little stuff, and get out. Get your shit and leave. You see what I mean? Don't be lollylagging around, blase. You go to the gas station, get your gas, and leave. You see what I'm talking about? That's for your own good. This good sound information right here. You know, advice that I'm trying to give, because see, these people out here are crazy. That's just what it is. That's all I got on this one, people. I want you guys to tell me what you think about this particular situation right here. I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on it in the comment section. That's if you can comment. But make sure you like, share, and subscribe. People, please remember to live your life as though we are being watched, simply because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.